Good evening, everyone. Today is Monday, March 5th, 2012. Welcome to Elmhurst City Hall. If you could please all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And to make our meeting official today, I ask Clerk Spencer to call the roll, please.
Pezza.
Here.
Gutenkopf.
Here.
Leader. Here. Dunn.
Here.
Graham.
Here.
Polumsky.
Here.
York.
Here.
Kipskin. Absent. Healy.
Here.
Levin.
Here.
Kennedy.
Here.
Morley.
Here.
Wagner.
Here.
Mulliner.
Here.
13 present, 1 absent.
13 present, 1 absent. We have an official quorum. First item on our agenda is a presentation, and we have a local resident who I believe has just come back from Afghanistan, Mr. Michael Mesko, and I apologize, I do not know his rank and what area he serves in. But Michael, if you please step up to the podium. I know you'd like to make a flag presentation. I believe this flag has been flown out in Afghanistan. And Mike, why don't you introduce yourself, your rank, and where exactly you serve in the military?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike Mesko, resident of Elmhurst with my wife since 2006. While working with the Army Corps of Engineers in the Chicago district, had the opportunity to volunteer to deploy overseas to Afghanistan. Did a 6-month tour as a civilian into several different areas of Afghanistan. The Army Corps of Engineers is responsible for a lot of the construction management and oversight of what's going on over there, from rebuilding roads, schools, military installations for the Afghan Army, as well as police stations over there for their population. And while I was over there, kind of seeing the different sides of the world, the fortunes that we have in this country, thought it was very interested and wanted to honor those locally, the police department, the fire department, as well as those who have served the nation. So I've got a flag here that I'd like to present, along with a certificate that says, "Let it be known that this flag of the United States of America was flown on September 11th, 2011 at Fob Shrana, Afghanistan, on the 10th anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks on America. And it was flown in the honor of the City of Elmhurst Police and Fire Department." So,
Michael, why don't you come up to the dais, and if you'd like to shake the hands of some of the aldermen, we'd love to see you. Thank you. Good work, sir. Thank you.
Here.
Accepting that fine plaque was Interim Deputy Chief Jim Caviton, Sergeant Steve Weatherford, and Jeff Bassett, our Deputy Fire Chief. So we appreciate all their hard work and their representation here tonight as well. Okay, we'll move on to item 4, receipt of written communications and petitions from the public. At this time, if there is anyone with any written communications and or petitions, please rise and present those to Clerk Spencer. Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Okay. I will move on to our public forum portion of our meeting, and I would ask at this time if anyone to sign up, Clerk Spencer, for public forum.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. We'll start with Gilbert Fisher, 586 North Van Auken.
Mr. Fisher, naturally you have 3 minutes, and we appreciate you coming out tonight.
I'm Gilbert Fisher at 586 North Van Auken in Elmhurst. All government in the United States of America is corrupt and has to be destroyed. When you have a government that will not let you vote for your U.S. senator It's corrupt. When you have a government that will not let you vote on major things that happened in your life or your religion, that's corruption. When you have a government in Washington, D.C. that passes a law that you cannot buy a 10-cent light bulb for your house, but you have to spend $5 for a light bulb for your house, it's just plain stupid. It's ridiculous. My house is 25 years old, almost, and it was put in with light bulbs that take a special wattage. They don't make them anymore in the United States of America because my government says it's no good for you. You have to spend $5 for one. They don't work. Right here in the city of Elmhurst, I pay taxes on taxes on taxes. My streets are no good, my sewers are no good, and the water that's coming into my house is poisonous. The Tribune ran a thing on it, and it says so. We, the people, the lowly people in the United States, have to do something. Why can't we get the United Nations in here to make a committee to give us, the citizens, the right to vote on the things that are important to our lives? This government we have is just plain corrupt and ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher.
Next, we have John Whistler, 490 Washington.
My name is Don Whistler. I'm a member of the Elmhurst Bike Task Force since its inception in 2008. Bob Hull is unable to be here tonight and asked me to come here and thank the DP&Z Committee for their diligence in addressing our request for a bike parking ordinance and the Planning and Zoning Commission for their deliberations in the matter. Also, we wish to thank the city staff for their time and effort they put in this matter, especially Than Werner. We urge the council to accept the report and recommendation of the DPC Committee with regard to case number 12P-01, a request for an amendment to Chapter 10 of the Elmhurst zoning ordinance for the purpose of requiring bicycle parking in the C2 and C3 zoning districts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whistler. Good to see you back and healthy, too. Anybody else?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have several tonight. Claude Pagash, 566 West Gladys.
I'm Claude Bogart, 566 West Gladys, and I am what is often referred to as a member of the senior society that lives in Elmhurst. And I would personally like to thank the Finance Committee and the Mayor for doubling my vehicle sticker. I guess they heard that the seniors in this town got an increase in their Social Security. They forgot a couple things. They increased the water in the sewer system by 8%. Yes, they did. Gave us a property tax increase. Yes, they did. And now they double the vehicle sticker. Very nice of you. That increase from Social Security disappeared rather quickly. So, just my personal thanks to those gentlemen on that committee and to the mayor. We keep on hearing that the city, it's expensive to run it. Yeah, I guess it is. Unfortunately for the residents that have to pay for it, they don't have much left to take care of their own needs. Utilities have gone up, gas has gone up. Oh yeah, that penny and a half, that was great. That was a nice addition. So our thanks to that committee. They must have worked very diligently on it. I do have a couple questions, though. We seem to have got on the agenda, we're going to hire somebody to find us a new police commander. But I don't see anything about some group looking for a new assistant city manager. I also see Mr. Bram and Ms. Pezza have some desire to talk about how vehicles are handled that are publicly owned. And wouldn't you know it, we have Morningside. Somehow they got from under, and we got out from under whatever they had originally with the city. Before those, the agenda is accepted as a whole, as it is offered with very little discussion. These various parts of this agenda I'd like to have discussed. See, it's a little difficult to find out what the ordinance is if you get on a computer and tack into the city system. I've had people try, and they find it very difficult to find out exactly what you gentlemen are doing, and ladies. So take the time, discuss them. I'd appreciate it. I'd like to know how I'm getting hung again. Since when the ordinance was changed on vehicle stickers, the one critical factor that was eliminated was its initial cost to those people.
Claude, if you could wrap it up, you're a little over
Really?
3 minutes. Thank you.
So discuss it, please. The citizens of this town are interested in what you're doing.
Thank you, Claude.
Lee Freitag, 543 Comstock.
Good evening, Mayor and Aldermen. I'm Lee Freitag, 543 Comstock, and I don't have sidewalks, so I'd like to discuss that with you tonight. What I want to discuss is a press release from Governor Quinn's office released on January 24th, where he said that today, January 24th, the state announced $21.7 million in Illinois state routes to school grants to schools and communities across the state. The federally funded program is designed to enable and encourage children to walk and bike to school safely. Governor Quinn continued, these projects enhance roads, sidewalks, and other infrastructure within communities, which is important in keeping both drivers and pedestrians safe. Encouraging children to walk and bike to school not only makes school routes safer, but also improves the quality of life for Illinois residents by easing traffic congestion and reducing emissions. The Transportation Secretary, Ann Schneider, said, the Illinois Safe Routes to School grants help us build pedestrian-friendly roads and sidewalks while educating students and families on the importance of alternative forms of transportation and the benefits of an active lifestyle. With these funds, we are also able to help communities implement projects aimed at lowering fuel consumption and air pollution. Finally, when we make bicycling and walking to school safer and more convenient, we are making our air cleaner and helping more kids get active and healthy. I have two comments on the press release. One is, how come Elmhurst has not been taking advantage of the grants available to the state in helping us build sidewalks for our pedestrians and even our elderly? And secondly, whether or not Elmhurst can obtain the grant for the sidewalks or if the citizens of Elmhurst pay for it, it seems that Elmhurst is fundamentally misaligned with the drivers of the federal and state government's desire to provide safe passage for our children to get to school. I would also state that I go to work every morning at 7 a.m. and I see my neighbor's children walking down the street. I need to make sure I look down the street to make sure that I'm not going to hit one of them before they walk to me. By the time they walk to me and they're walking down the street, I'm usually driving in the left-hand lane to avoid them, while at the same time avoiding cars coming the other direction, coming to the other lane. So on my street, Comstock, as well as Crockett and other members of our neighborhood are here. This is a very important safety issue, for not just for our children, but I think also for the elderly on our street as well. So thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Tamara Brenner, 137 North Caroline.
Regarding the process that continues to unfold around the electricity aggregation referendum, I received my water bill over the weekend, and that included the long-awaited information sheet to help inform me about this issue. It seems to me that this single page is pretty short on information and doesn't go nearly far enough to allow people to become even minimally informed voters without them doing some significant additional research on their own. I also understand there's going to be a community meeting tomorrow night at the library. In the newspaper, I see that the featured speaker is going to be the marketing director for the consultant that the city has basically hired on contingency to assist in implementing this program. As I understand it, this consultant has a financial interest in the referendum passing, and then their fee is going to be dependent basically on the number of customers who go along with the program. And undoubtedly, the vast majority of people will go along, whether by intent or by apathy. Only a small fraction of people can be expected to opt out. In an opt-out program such as what we're looking at, people have to take an affirmative action in order to not participate. Well, in an opt-in program, it's the people who want to participate who would have to act affirmatively. Which option do you think is going to produce more customers? Perhaps we have the marketing director coming to speak, because this is, after all, it seems to me, about marketing. It's about winning thousands of customers all at once, and it's going to be a big payday for some of these alternate retail energy suppliers, as well as for the facilitating consultants. We've heard in various places that this is a no-brainer and that there's no downside. Well, I can't help but be skeptical about things that sound too good to be true. I'm sure there will be short-term savings with this program, but long-term, nobody knows. The fine print is going to make interesting reading once we get that far, and I'll be especially interested to learn about contract termination conditions and costs. The city's patting itself on the back for engaging in this program to save the residents money, but I think this is a pretty indirect way for the city to go about saving money for us. If the city wants to save money, perhaps it could concentrate on things already under its control, things like negotiating a better contract for, say, trash collection, one that doesn't include large automatic year-to-year price increases. And also on the topic of saving money, I do hope to hear later this evening an in-depth conversation regarding the creation of the position of full-time assistant city manager, which we only heard about for the first time 2 weeks ago at City Council, and which represents a considerable and ongoing cost to the city. I think that's a place where the city could save some money if it wants to. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Brenner.
Matt Winton, 577 West Comstock.
Hello all. I would first like to thank you and the council for its time and attention. This statement's on behalf of the sidewalks for my community. There are 3 main points I'd like to talk about, and I'll attempt to keep the emotions out of it and focus completely on what I believe is common sense. There is no reason to change the rules for implementing sidewalks now or in the future. This committee was elected to make tough decisions and not pass the buck. Do not let one street ruin for everyone what happened with Gladys a couple years ago. The issues were changed mid-issue, so we think that was the issue. Not changing would have not caused as nearly the conflicts that it did. If you do change the rules, those that started this process, as Comstock did in 2009, the rules should not be changed and we should be grandfathered. Finally, most important, Lee mentioned this, the reason for sidewalks is safety for the children and their families. We, Comstock, have done what is asked of us. We now need you, this committee, to act on our behalf. Those that say they would never move to a street without sidewalks, well, I did. I like my neighbors. I like my street. I like my school. Why should I have to move to get a sidewalk? I pay tax dollars just as everyone else does. I understand this is not the biggest issue in Illinois, Elmhurst, or even for this committee. I understand the emotions run high on both sides. But what I don't understand is why several of this committee are so against sidewalks. Most of you I know have children. Do you want your children walking in the street when it's raining, snowing, or when someone is texting while driving? I do not. Sidewalks offer safety to the residents of Elmhurst, especially the children. I'm guessing all you have children, or I'm guessing most of you have sidewalks. Who paid for them? City of Elmhurst did. Who pays if your sidewalk is damaged or needs replacement? Elmhurst does. City of Elmhurst, 100% is paid by. I have absolutely no issue with Elmhurst paying for the continued safety of sidewalks. I just ask you to exhibit the same to those without sidewalks. It seems hypocritical to do one thing that benefits one group and does not benefit the other. Other than money, what is the main emotion that runs between opposing sidewalks? I don't believe any. I believe it's money that really is the reason, as the gentleman said earlier, he doesn't want to spend more. And I understand that. But what I don't understand is what Lee had mentioned. This committee, this group, has not gone after grants for sidewalks that has been offered since 2006. It is sad the committee was unaware of these grants. Other neighboring towns, Bensenville, Berkeley, Westmont, took advantage and are looking forward or working towards 100% sidewalks. What is this committee doing with such goals? Have they set any goals? And these towns also pay 100% for sidewalks. I'm not asking for a free ride. I'm willing to pay, and so is our street willing to pay our fair share. We just need the city of Elmhurst to do so. Stop spending so much money on downtown Elmhurst. Spend a little bit on safety. I was born and raised in Elmhurst. My family's paid taxes in this town for over 40 years. I personally have lived here the last 6. I was able to walk and ride my bike to school and play on sidewalks while growing up. I believe all children should have that right. It is up to this committee, and that's what's holding us back. You all say there's never been anyone hit, hurt, or killed, and God forbid that never happens on the sidewalk, specifically on Comstock. But you know what? It's going to be a sad day if it ever does, and this committee will be partially responsible.
Sir, if you could wrap it up, that would be great.
Yep.
You're over the 3, but if you could wrap it up.
Yep, that'll be done. That will be a tough thing to swallow. And please be proactive, not reactive, on sidewalks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Matt Lanove, 582 West Crockett.
Hello, Matthew Lanou, residing at 582 West Crockett, 2nd Ward. I'd like to start by thanking our mayor and this council for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to support the building of new sidewalks in our community and to speak to the events that have occurred on Comstock and Crockett Avenue in regards to proposed sidewalk construction. As a parent of 2 young children and living on a street with no sidewalks, I have first seen firsthand the dangers that exist when our youth use our streets. Not having a sidewalk for children and adults to use to access parks or schools seems almost inconceivable considering the length of our blocks and the traffic that our streets see on a daily basis. Residents of both Comstock and Crockett Avenue have actively worked with the city to follow the proper petition process to have sidewalks installed on our streets. The last process was started in 2009 and passed the 50+1 rule. Those petitions have since been on hold for budgetary cut reasons, and new proposals given to this committee have been made to increase the percentage of property owners to above the 50+1 rule. I feel, as do many of my neighbors, that Comstock and Crockett should be grandfathered into the 2003 rules we met in 2009 when our petitions were submitted. Furthermore, if newly proposed rules for sidewalk petitions are set to a higher level, say 67% of property owners vote yes, with non-voters counted as no, this would almost ensure that no new sidewalks will be built in areas that desperately need them. Failures on other sidewalk construction projects should not punish the citizens that want basic services as sidewalks in the future. In closing, I would like to end with a description on elmhurst.org that states the present-day status of our city, and I quote, "Today, Elmhurst continues to change. However, the city of Elmhurst is committed to shepherding the community into and through the next century by continuing its long history of service of the highest quality for residents and visitors. Working together, I stress working together, residents and the city can make certain that Elmhurst will continue to be a wonderful place to live and raise families." I'd like to thank the mayor and this council for the time on this subject. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Liz Widmeyer, 908 Sailor.
Hello, thank you. My name's Liz Widmeyer, 908 Sailor. Just here tonight to once again ask about the stormwater funding from DuPage County. There are many, many, many residents in town who seem to think that they are going to wait for DuPage County's fair share of stormwater funding. I went out to the DuPage website to take a look for myself to find that DuPage County funds stormwater that has to do with rivers, creeks, and streams that overflow their banks and embark on people's homes. DuPage County specifically says they do not fund stormwater efforts that pertain to rundown, overburdened sewers. So I think it's very, very wise that you would, the council, the city, make clear to the residents that there is no money available from DuPage County. If there is money available, or in the future, I think we should be very clear as to what we can expect. Also going out to the website, I looked over the meetings for the past several months of the Stormwater Committee meetings, and I never saw one time Elmhurst being mentioned to receiving their fair share. Thanks.
Thank you.
Carl Windle, 547 West Comstock.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's regarding sidewalks again. I didn't prepare a script. I just want to say that for the betterment of the community and for where I was born and raised, for where my children live and future be working soon, we pay a lot of taxes. I get it. I understand that the area that we live on the north side wasn't as developed as maybe the central or the south part of Elmhurst was originally. I've been there for 5 years now. The growth of the schools in that area are immense. The kids are on the street. I got a young boy that's going to be driving in a month I don't want those kids on the street when he's driving. I'm not saying he won't be a safe driver, but I can tell you we don't need more children with another child driving. So we'd appreciate any support that can be given or consideration that can be given, and we'll be sure to pay our fair share as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Apor Gami, 638 West Crockett.
Hello, my name is Apor Gami. I live at 638 West Crockett Avenue in Elmhurst. I'm here to talk about the sidewalk issue as well. Not too much to add to what my fellow residents on those streets have said already. But I'm a cardiologist in Elmhurst, and in our field we talk about things in terms of primary and secondary prevention. We can do a lot of fancy things when people are sick to save them, but we know that the bang for people's buck and what really matters for individuals and communities is prevention. Prevention is very important. And when it comes to sidewalks, I think for the individuals living on our street, the residents, our children, the elderly, we need to prevent something bad from happening. And something bad is going to happen, I think. Just walking up and down the street with our kids in tow, riding bikes, skateboards, and seeing the amount of traffic on that street, something bad is bound to happen. And it worries me when we have the opportunity to do something to prevent it. I think sidewalks will go a long way towards preventing that bad thing. One point that's been made is there's a thought that there's never been an accident on these streets, in the streets with children, and there has been, and there's been a documented pedestrian automobile accident. In the materials that were submitted by the residents of these streets to you to review, you'll see that documentation in there as well. And it's important now that we're not talking about prevention. Now we're dealing with the emergency after it's happened. I think we need to put these sidewalks and understand how to pay for them. We know that the residents on our streets are willing to do our share to pay for them and work with you to see that come to fruition. Thanks for your attention to this.
Thank you, Doctor.
And last, we have Kathleen Sullivan, 133 Pine Street.
Kathleen Sullivan, 133 Pine Street. On a lighter note, Elmhurst Panhellenic Foundation was founded in 1931 here in Elmhurst, and it's a group of college-educated women who are busy today celebrating NPC International Badge Day by wearing their sorority badges and preparing for their fashion show, Gaga for Fashion, that will be held this Friday at the Diplomat West in Elmhurst. This organization raises funds to educate women of Elmhurst and hopefully will go over the $300,000 mark in scholarships granted this year based on the success of our fundraiser. Tickets are available at www.eventbrite.com. That's EVENTBRITE.com. We didn't spell it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathleen.
That concludes public forum as far as those who signed in tonight to speak, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Clerk Spencer. I will now close the public forum portion of our meeting and go to announcements. Anyone with any announcements? Alderman Plumsky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have two, actually. One, just would like to remind everybody that there is a presentation on community choice aggregation. It's a panel discussion. It's being sponsored by three groups, the League of Women Voters, Cool Cities Coalition, and AAUW. This will be an informational, again, panel presentation about aggregation. And a second announcement, in response to concerns from residents about break-ins and attempted break-ins, I don't see him here anymore. Officer Kavitan has offered to have a presentation at the police station, and so Alderman Bram and I are hosting, along with Officer Kavitan, a meeting for Third Ward residents on March 7th at 7 p.m. And I guess I'd also like to say that I didn't say the date, March 6th for community choice aggregation at 7 p.m. at the library. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Anyone else? Alderman Wagner, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to remind everybody that this Saturday is the annual St. Patrick's Day Parade. I thought it was fitting that I should probably bring that up. In any event, we want to make it as safe and as enjoyable for everyone in the city and all the residents that want to come from other cities as well. We want everybody to have a very safe and great time. It's a nice day, and we're happy to put it on. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And it is fitting that a good Irishman with Emma Patrick definitely brings that up. So, and look forward to seeing everybody Saturday. Alderman Pezza.
Thank you, Mayor. Just an announcement that Alderman Gutenkopf and I will be hosting our annual Ward 1 Town Hall meeting on March 29th at the Elmhurst Public Library at 7 p.m. Everyone is welcome. Thank you.
Anyone else? Clerk Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to remind everyone about early voting. It's taking place at City Hall for all registered voters in DuPage County, Monday through Friday between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Early voting ends on Thursday, March 15th. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other announcements? All right, I'll move on to our consent agenda, which is item number 7. At this time, if there's anyone with a question or would like to vote no on any particular item, if you could please indicate that at this time. Alderman York.
Item I, please.
Item I. Good. Anybody else? Alderman Plumsky?
Item M, please.
M as in Mary?
Yes.
Very good. Anybody else? Okay, I will now ask for a motion and a second to approve the contents of the consent agenda. Last items I and M as in Mary. Alderman York with a motion, seconded by Alderman Dunn. And Clerk Spencer, if you'll please call the roll.
York.
Aye.
Dunn.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Palumski.
Aye.
Hipskin, absent. Healy.
Aye.
Clevin.
President, aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Morley.
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
Mulliner.
Aye.
Pezza.
Aye.
Gutenkopf.
Aye.
Leader.
Aye.
13 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent.
13 ayes, 0 nays, 1 absent. The consent agenda passes. Last items I and M as in Mary. Now I will go to, excuse me, item I, which I believe is a referral. Alderman York, would you?
Sure. Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, earlier today, I had a conversation with Alderman Healy regarding some possible removal of traffic control devices in the hospital neighborhood, in the old Berteau campus neighborhood. And it caused me to think and discussed with Alderman Palumski and think about incorporating a review of traffic control devices in the referral. So I would like to move to amend the referral versus pulling it back and having to go through the whole process again. I'd like to move to amend the referral to include the review of traffic control devices in the neighborhood.
Okay. It's a motion, so second by Alderman Palumski. So we do have this amendment on the floor. And any questions or discussion? And it's just a referral, so it's just going in the committee. So we just wanted to amend the actual wording. Very good. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. The referral goes into committee. Thank you, Alderman.
Thank you.
And on to item M, which is a recommendation, and I'd ask Clerk Spencer to read the recommendation, please.
It is therefore the recommendation of the Public Works and Buildings Committee to enter into a 3-year agreement, 2012 through 2014, with Clark Mosquito Control, Inc., for an environmental mosquito management program at the cost outlined above be accepted. Respectfully submitted, Public Works and Buildings Committee, signed by Jim Kennedy, Chairman, Bob Dunn, Vice Chairman, Chris Healy, and Diane Gutenkopf.
And at this time, I'd entertain a motion and a second to put this particular recommendation on the floor. Mr. Chairman Kennedy with a motion, second by Alderman Dunn, Vice Chairman. Discussion, Chairman Kennedy.
I will defer to Alderman Palumski.
Alderman Palumski?
Thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge the work of the committee. I appreciate this, and to thank the committee. This year, with this 3-year agreement with Clark Mosquito Control, the committee has looked into a new option for a larviciding program, a more environmentally friendly product, and I just want to thank them for looking into that. I think that's a good example of weighing the costs and benefits of what's fiscal and environmental, and while it might be slightly more money, it's just a fraction of the total cost of the program itself. So I just want to say thank you for choosing the more environmentally friendly option. And I also want to let people know that if they want to be informed when Clark will be spraying, they can call an 800 number. It's 800-942-2555, and they can be on an automatic call list to be informed when they're spraying. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Palumski. All right, and any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, I'd ask for all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Say no. That the recommendation passes, and we'll go on to ordinance. Thank you. And we will now move on to item 8, which is reports and recommendations of appointed elected officials. Update from myself. probably the biggest thing that I have as far as my updates is something that's going to happen this Friday. When I ran for mayor, I often talked about trying to get a Trader Joe's or a Whole Foods, destination retailers. I've been working very, very diligently along with our team, our economic development team, and even a lot of our aldermen have been involved with economic development. And this Friday at 8:30 in the morning at the Elmhurst Ford site, we will be working in partnership with Mariano's on their announcement to come to Elmhurst. This will be a partnership. This will hopefully kick off this North End TIF that we're looking at pursuing. But one way or the other, the city is going to be involved in a partnership to make this happen. So it's exciting. It's going to be approximately a 450 job-producing business. There's only going to be about 20 of these in the Chicago metropolitan area. They are a catch. It is a Costco, a Whole Foods, a Trader Joe's combination all in one, and we're lucky enough to have one coming to the city of Elmhurst. So that will be happening this Friday, 8:30 a.m. At the Elmhurst Ford site. So I invite the council and our team of consultants and staff that helped get this through the finish line, and we still got to get it through the finish line, but I think we've got a willing council that's pro-business, that has the big picture, and there's a lot of work to do up in the North End, so this definitely will put a stake in the ground up there that this is something we want to see happening. The North End, I think, is we had a lot of people from Comstock here today, being a North Sider originally, along with Alderman Wagner and Alderman Polumsky and Alderman Brahm. I think we're excited to see things, and all of us, I think, we want, whenever anything happens positive in this town, it's great for the whole community, regardless of where we live. So so that will be happening here shortly. So exciting stuff, and while we're in one of the toughest recessions, this town, between a new hospital, a new strip mall at St. Charles in '83 that brought in 150 jobs, the hospital brought in almost 4,000 jobs, state-of-the-art health care. Now Northwestern's looking at us. I think it's just great things that are happening. It's credit to, I think, a very progressive group of people up here that have put the tools in place to go out there and seek a lot of these opportunities. Tools in place that Alderman Pezza and Alderman Brahm are the referral on the North TIF. It was very, very much a leadership, in my opinion, leadership decision, which I think is great, and I think it's something that we hopefully, once we see all the process, we'll all get behind when everything is all spelled out for us. But this will be a partnership. Virtually every community that Mariano's has gone to, there have been partnerships between their municipality and this grocer chain to get them to come. But I think in the end, in my opinion, it'll be a no-brainer, and we will have a gem that will draw not only from Elmhurst and give people from North Side and South Side a reason to shop in our community, but it will pull from Bloomingdale, it'll pull from the east and the south, from Hinsdale and Oak Brook. I think people will be, just like we're driving right now, oftentimes outside of our community to shop, to go to a Trader Joe's, people will be driving to Elmhurst to shop at Mariano. So exciting stuff, and that's my report, and hopefully I'll see everybody out there with lots of smiles. And Bob Mariano himself will be out there at 8:30 in the morning. We'll be speaking about this gem that'll be coming to our town. So, anybody else? Alderman Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As one of the aldermen for the 3rd Ward for the North Side, I am very excited. So many residents have talked about the rumors and what may or may not come to the North Side, so I'm glad to hear that it's been publicly announced tonight. Not only the residents in the North Side who have contacted me, but the business owners. A lot of the business owners are very excited to see another business that will generate additional traffic, because ultimately more traffic that comes to the North Side will help their businesses as well as the Mariano's business. So that's exciting news, and thank you very much for that. I do have 2 other items that I wanted to touch on, one of which some of the residents in the 2nd Ward came tonight to talk about sidewalks, pro or con. I think is irrelevant at this point. But I did want, for the residents who are here tonight, I did want to touch on that the residents or the streets that have submitted previously in 2009 are already grandfathered in, and any discussion for the sidewalk policy will not apply to them. The third item I wanted to touch on was related to 2 weeks ago. We had an alderman who abstained from a vote. I raised a point of order, and we had a further discussion, myself, Alderman Mulliner, and the city attorney after the council meeting. And according to Chapter 2, which I asked the city staff to provide a copy for each alderman, each elected official on the dais, it does state the following: all votes shall be by A or nay, except an alderman may vote present when a conflict of interest or disability exists which makes it improper for the alderman to vote on the issue in question. In other words, under only those two circumstances can an alderman abstain from voting aye or nay. And I just wanted to make sure that all aldermen, as well as the public, is clear on what is in place in the city of Elmhurst for our commitment to vote on each and every issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Anybody else? Alderman York.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yesterday I received a call from some folks in Elmhurst who elderly and have some issues with being hard of hearing. And the conversation came up, this is related to kind of the past tragedies we've had this week regarding sudden severe weather. And I think it's important for us to get some information out to the citizens who are impaired, whether it be visually, audibly, however, that there are other ways to get information. And I'd like for us to perhaps at a future council meeting present some of those options. I know that tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock the sirens will go off for their test pattern. And those sirens are designed to alert people, but mainly people who are out of doors. So I think it's important that we do consider people who are in their homes and make sure that they're aware of all the ways that they can get alerts for approaching severe weather. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Anybody else? Mr. Chairman Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the subject of sidewalks, the Public Works and Buildings Committee will be talking about sidewalks next week. Given the fact that that report was sent back to committee, we're going to be looking at the entire package that is sidewalks, and will include in the discussion the grandfathering of the 3 streets that are currently in the process, and trying to understand how we approach that best going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Anybody else? Okay. Anybody? Alderman Plumsky, I saw you were wanting to put the hand up.
I don't have all the names off the top of my head.
Okay.
I would like to acknowledge and thank the people very active in Safe Routes to School. We have received some grant money. We worked very hard. I was a representative from Field School doing an assessment last year, and we applied for the grant that was submitted by Pat Masterton with District 205. Bob Hull's been very active, Rebecca Clancy, different representatives from each school. We applied for a grant, worked on it, came together as a district. We applied for structural improvements because, from what we understand, the first application has to really be based on training and some other provisions before you can apply for the any sort of infrastructure improvements. But we have received some funding. We thought we'd hear about it last year. It's a little bit slow. Some of the grant cycles this year have been extended, but we're working on it. And I'd just like to thank Bob Hull really led the charge with Safe Routes to School, and he should be acknowledged as moving that forward. We have received some funding, not for infrastructure, but if there's another application, that would be the next step to apply for some physical improvements. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. I know Bob has been keeping us, many of us, including myself, in the loop with some of these federal appropriations, and Congressman Roscom has been real receptive as well to make sure that we're included in that as well. So I believe there was just an appropriation made recently. I know I got the email, I called the congressman, and he was all over it, and I believe Elmhurst was included in that appropriation. So we are monitoring these. We have staff that does it, but we also have elected folks that are very much, ears to the ground with the residents and also with staff. So so we are not, believe us, this is all over our radar screen, so it's not something that we take lightly at all. So anybody else? Okay. We'll move on to other business. Anybody in other business? All right, we'll be going to budget after this, committee of the whole. So I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. We'll take a brief recess and we'll come back to committee of the whole. Alderman Wagner with a motion, Alderman York with a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. 5 minutes.